welcome back, everybody, to our study group here in the Sacred Self-Healing Community, free on Skype Live every Monday, 11 p.m. Wonderful to have you guys here. We talk about the deeper esoteric and spiritual concepts behind the phenomena that we observe in our world and our everyday life. Yeah, we have deeper workshops and so forth in our Sacred Self-Healing Community. If you're interested in becoming a member there with workshops and daily meditations and workbooks and so forth, then check my website. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about something that I mentioned in the latest energy talk. I talked about the etherization, the spiritualization of our being. And I mentioned this in context with 2024, the energies that are coming in there, the how, our say manifestation efforts are going to change here in this next year and a half. You will feel, and this is quite important to note, a true pivotal shift in your personal life latest in February. So those of you who are tuned in will already feel this somewhat right now. Yeah, these impulses that are coming in, they are very spiritual in nature. Yeah, they make us kind of, hunker down in our own little inner world. And if we are spiritually, interested and have tried a few things, we may actually find that they come in quite handy now. So going in, learning how to manage our energies and learning how to regulate our daily activity levels, how to manage our holistic health, and how to manage our manifestations, is something that you are familiar with. And that's something now that needs to be applied. Yeah, I called this up your game. Yeah, it's no longer enough to just think it. Yeah, it's also no longer enough to just sort of keep doing the same thing over and over again and doing more and trying harder. In a way, for those of us, guys, for those of us who have already done a little bit of homework and who are willing to go deeper within, who want to feel this deeper connection with themselves and others. Okay, for you now, it really is the time to put all this into perspective with your entire life's journey. Yeah, why have you been feeling attracted to this spiritual work? Why have you been going through all these traumas and, feeling misunderstood and not really fitting in, and all this is now beginning to make sense for you. Yes, it's actually quite good news. The only problem that most of us still have is that we can't quite conceive, what all this is good for. Many of us even try to, or have been hiding, our spiritual interests. We've not really outed ourselves as a person that is, familiar with the spiritual aspects of life. And this is something that I always try to ease up for you guys a little bit, because just because things are spiritual doesn't mean that they're woo, doesn't mean that they're like out there. It just means that they are taking place on a more immaterial level. And this is the key word for us here. The energies that we are facing with, that we are going through, the part of the journey that we are going through as humanity is now turning the focal point more toward our relationships, toward our inner life. Yeah, this obviously has to start somewhere within our inner relationship, the relationship that we have with our true self, with our higher self, so that it can then change and modify and shape the relationships in the material. So immaterial merely means anything that has nothing to do with the material. And that's pretty much everything, yeah, that we guys are after, that we want in our life. Happiness, inner peace, love, harmony, abundance, even health, yeah, is not a material subject. So once we understand that our spiritual interest really is the interest in the inner workings, yeah, of being a human, trying to understand ourselves, yeah, and our interactions, then we can feel much more confident and go out and say, yeah, I have been working with this for the last decade, for the last 20 years, for the last 30 years. And the way I see things is so and so. So this is kind of like what this will sound like. The way this will feel like is that, or will be that, people in your environment that are just now waking up, they will turn to you. Yeah, they will see you like a rock in the shore, or, like a beacon, of light when there is darkness, not reacting, not panicking to things, but rather feeling calm and relaxed about the things that are happening, because you understand that they must happen, yeah, that they are part of, I don't want to say grand scheme, yeah. So the scheming always gets us into conspiracy theories. It's not about that, guys. I'm going to talk about all these things that we can look forward to in 2024 and 2025, yeah, that have to do with healing, that have to do with love, that have to do with community and relationship. Knowing that the reason why these impulses are coming in so strongly now and why they want to materialize is because, yeah, the material world has become so toxic and painful, and will continue, yeah, to be so painful for people, that the need to actually turn to the inner workings of things, the need to better understand relationships, to better understand interactions between humans and the planet and humans and the universe, becomes so great, yeah, that all the other preconceptions and preoccupations about what spirituality means go away. It is, after all, in the nature of our ego to not actually be willing to step into change or change something until the pain of staying where we're at becomes greater than the fear of the unknown. So what I want to send you home with here is the understanding of why I sound so upbeat, even though I am, the one that has been predicting all these negative things that are occurring right now for over a decade. Because I knew they had to happen. And I knew that as they are happening, it will change people's outlook on life. It will change people's perception of what it means to be human, what it means to live in this world, what, this life's journey is all about. And I am looking forward to that, even though I know that there's still a lot of things that we have to go through. It's not quite bad enough yet, in case you haven't noticed. We live in a toxic world. We live in a world that produces conditions that are toxic for families, for relationships, for self-expression. for the planet, for our bodies, for our mental health, and for our spiritual health. This toxicity is exactly what brings in the impulse for healing. So that's the main impulse here in 2024, guys, is healing. And as an energy healer, healing is like so many things, in energy lingo and spirituality, as I break them down for you, is nothing but increasing or raising the consciousness level of a person, a thing, or a condition. And obviously there's techniques to this, and you have to know how to do this right, so you don't just pass it on to the next person or the next item or the next place. You don't just want to push things away. You also want to transform them. So increasing the consciousness level, increasing the vibration of something, all right, always leads to automatic healing. So when we think of spirituality and all this like positive thinking and up your vibes and all that, there's a piece of truth in that. But it needs to be understood more. It needs to be, studied more to really get what this means. Is it enough to just have, positive thoughts all day long, to do affirmations all day long, to believe in the good in people, to, have sort of all these visualizations? Is that enough? This is a question for you right now. In this world right now, is it enough to believe in the good in people, to navigate this world in a way that you could say that you are, expressing your highest self? Is believing in the good in people, in that everything is going to turn out well, that, things are going to come around, and, we don't really need to worry about things. We just need to go with the flow. Is this really enough? Is this spiritual enough? What's your take on that? What's your view on that? What do you feel? What comes up in you when I ask this question?
For me, Jona, it just feels like that's that spiritual bypassing, or that avoidance of, like, it's sort of like in fantasy world, just la, 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 everything's love and light. And, without actually exploring, like, how did this even come about? We have to go in and explore how these things happen and occur, so that
Which things are you referring to?
The darkness and the way things are degenerating, is like actually to go within and explore in us those inner questions, like what is spirituality? What is my heart? What is, connecting to the divine and actually feeling it, rather than just listening to something or reading something and going, oh yeah, that sounds good, I'll just think about that, rather than actually experiencing it and feeling how these things come in, like how we allow these things to happen.
The negative things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what you're saying, or what I hear you saying, is that it's not enough to just sort of blanket, everything as positive, or twist it, almost into a positive thing, but to investigate the dynamics of that. Like, when does my energy go low? When I am attracting these kind of negative things, or seemingly negative things, or things that are confusing me, that are infusing me with doubt, that are infusing me with fears. How does this work in me? We have to self-discover that. We have to actually seek the inner experience of all of that so that we can better navigate. Is that's what I heard you say? Yeah?
Yeah.
Instead of just, sort of like a child, kind of walk through the world and say, oh, everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. Because
It's like,
that's you say that to a 5-year-old. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Okay. Yeah.
like, well, oh, okay, but
Hmm.
how can that even happen with what's going on, with what we're faced with, what's facing right now?
And that's the uncomfortable part, isn't it? That's why so many people shy away from inner work. Yeah, either because they think it has to be done in a certain way, with red socks and white robes and crystals and what sound bowls, yeah, or because they don't actually want to face, all right, their part in it. Okay, so many people that I talk to in energy coaching sessions, just give up and say, well, what is it that I do, yeah, that attracts all these negative experiences into my life, but without actually going there, without actually investigating it. Yeah, just sort of feeling guilty or feeling, mm, like they are to blame for, these things, these crises that happen in their lives, but without any kind of reflection or without any kind of, investigating their own part in it. Remember, healing is always the increase of consciousness about something. In other words, you know, becoming more conscious about what is unconscious in and of itself already is a healing technique. In other words, if I am sitting here and I keep experiencing the same negative stuff over and over again, and I'm at a loss and I don't know why this is happening to me. Yeah, and maybe I'm still pointing fingers at, oh, this is happening because of this and the government and my boss and my husband and my children and this and this and this. Yeah, then obviously I'm not going to investigate this. But those of us who've already realized that, that there is a connection between our inner conception, our inner attitude, yeah, how we, feel about our life, our relationships, and what we do, and what it is that we experience. And if you go a step farther and, really, use these mindfulness tools, yeah, meditate, learn how to silence your mind and connect with your inner spirit being, your soul being. And what you discover is that it's not just that, it's also, all that you hold in you, yeah, the energetic state, yeah, the energetic quality of all your thoughts, sentiments, visualizations, little comments, yeah, automatic judgments, negative inner self-talk, all this, yeah, that occupies sort of that organ in you that is actually able to change something, yeah, that is what needs to be, well, managed better. Yeah. Self-mastery. That's the foundation of self-mastery, is that we manage, that we master our thinking, our feeling, with it also our sensing and perceiving, and then our willing, yeah, what we ultimately choose and how consciously we choose things. And as we are doing that, guys, as we are starting to investigate this immaterial, yeah, this spiritual nature of, yeah, the inner workings of ourselves, as we are making the unconscious more conscious to ourselves, guess what? We are initiating a healing process. already right there. And then there's higher levels of that healing. Julianne, you mentioned something here, what we hold in our heart. I was just talking about the conceptions and perceptions that we keep in our mind. Not just in our brain, also in our subconscious, etc. And you were talking about something that we feel in our heart. Yeah, what is our heart filled with? Yeah, is our heart filled with doubt, with fear, with disappointment, with judgment, or hatred even? Then, the best visualizations aren't going to grip, guys, because the higher our consciousness, the higher or the more inclusive our thoughts or what we hold in mind becomes. The more compassion, the more forgiveness, the more courage, the more willingness to understand one another arises in us. And ultimately then also higher levels of love. So what is happening right now in the world, guys? And the reason why the world feels so toxic to all the things that are sacred, that are important to us, is because of this inner schism that we carry in us, that we hold in mind. We have all these great goals and all these, this intellectual knowledge about things, but we're not actually able to master our own inner judgment or our own negative inner self-talk, just as an example. And that creates a rift in us, that creates a schism in us, like a chasm, between two different kinds of self. And that inner process is the one that we are bringing into the outer world. That is what manifestation means. We're bringing it into expression, whether we're aware of it or not. And where do we see this schism unfolding? In all our world's happenings, in our current events, whether it's politics, whether it's financial markets, whether it's industry and economy, whether it's the wars that are going on this planet, or even earth changes, the things that are happening on our planet directly. Why is everything that is happening on our earth related to what is happening on the inside? That is a question that we need to ask ourselves. Why? Why is there a fissure in my home country in Iceland that erupted today in a spectacular way? By the way, if you have not seen this yet, go online and watch the live footage of the lava, erupting in this 4-kilometer long fissure. Why is this related, or how is this related to all this spiritual talk here? It's very simple, guys. We have the continental drift on our planet, you know this, and the tectonic plates that are coming together in Iceland is the European and the North American earth plates, and they're drifting apart. That is, something that we've known for a long time. And right in that area there in Iceland where these volcanic activities are and where this lava is spitting out of this rift, out of this chasm that has formed in the world, you can see exactly the same expression of what these toxic energies look like in the etheric. that we as humans putting out into this world. So there's a connection between the things that are happening with the planet and the things that are happening with us. And there's obviously a lot more that I could say about this, because it goes all the way to the microscopic level, and viruses, etc. But if you just for a moment look at everything in the universe basically mirroring, each other, just on different dimensional levels. Okay, if you just now accept that the planet Earth as, sort of a spiritual being, just like us, mythology calls our planet Gaia, also has an evolutionary process that she goes through, and we, because we are on her, so we're tied to that. So everything that goes on within ourselves, inside ourselves, finds an expression on the planet, and everything that goes on the planet finds an expression in us. So everything we manifest on the outside in the material is fundamentally just an expression of an inner spiritual process. In our recent Sacred Self-Healing workshop, I formulated this as everything that has been manifested, everything that exists, was conceived by a consciousness before. So everything that is somehow in our material world, in our 3D world, was conceived by a consciousness before. Now, I'm not going to go so far as saying we are responsible for the volcanic eruption on Iceland. That is obviously not the case, and that would also be unscientific. But there is a two-way connection between the earth changes that we are experiencing and the changes that we are experiencing as a collective. So I'm sending you this impulse here, to maybe pay more attention and make some of these unconscious things that you are observing on the planet, unconscious because you never thought about it, and become more conscious about them. What do wildfires, uncontrollable wildfires, what do they express? What do floods express? What do cyclones or hurricanes express? What do earthquakes or volcanoes express? Go into them, feel into them. What kind of process are they manifesting? And so it should not be a surprise for us, that all these things that are happening in our societies right now are coming at the same time. At the same time as all these earth changes. The toxicity in our planet and the toxicity in our societies. This should not be a surprise for the spiritual or consciousness seeker, for the conscious self-healer. If we want to change something, if we want to better the world, if we want to heal, we have to start with ourselves. You've heard this a million times. But where do you start? How can you overcome your inner schism, your inner toxicity, your inner laziness? Those are the questions that when you are courageous enough to ask yourself these questions and to work with them and to feel within, just like how you can feel into an earthquake or a volcano or a flood or anything else, that is sort of coming into an expression. If you have the courage to feel into this, then you will also know what needs to be done. Yes, it's the feeling and asking within. And it's not mystical, guys, at all. Yeah, this isn't mystical. Yeah, the guidance that you will feel from within, what you receive as information from within you, is the same information that the planet, for example, is trying to convey to us. Everything that is conceived of the same consciousness, everything that is of the same stuff. Yeah, so two particles that were created out of the same stuff, out of the same wave, they will behave the same. Even if it's millions and billions of miles, if they're millions and billions of miles away from one another. We are an expression of this planet, and the planet is an expression of us. And so is our solar system, and so is our entire cosmos. And that is what we are now about to discover, how all these things are related, how our diseases are related, how our mental health issues are related, how our issues with relationships, how our issues with resources, abundance and wealth and lack and scarcity are related. They're all related with one another, and it all starts with the consciousness that conceives it. There's different hierarchies and different levels of consciousness, and on each of these different levels of consciousness, whatever it is that you conceive, okay, brings forward a different level of manifestation. So in order to prepare yourself for 2024, I've already suggested, that you get out your vision boards and that you refine, that you review, that you consciously and actively work on what it is that you manifest. Your consciousness has grown over the past year. Yeah, you are no longer the same self that you were a year ago. And therefore, what it is that you conceive, what it is that you want to manifest, needs to be transformed, needs to be updated, needs to be changed. Now, your conditions may have changed as well. All that needs to be put into consideration, because with a higher consciousness level, your visions, your manifestation desires become more inclusive. Yeah, the lower the consciousness, the more egotistical your goals are. The higher the consciousness, the more inclusive, which means including others, including, the higher good. All right? It doesn't mean sacrifice. It just means that you have to find the right balance between what it is that you want for your life and how, as you are manifesting what it is that your heart desires, you're also contributing to the greater good. This is how this works, guys. That's what manifesting on a higher vibratory, on a higher conscious level means. And we're all being pushed into this higher consciousness now. Yeah, and you guys hopefully are prepared because you've investigated all these things. Now your job is to put this into action. Yeah, to no longer be afraid of your own true heart's desires. Yeah, so the way this links in with the etherization or the spiritualization of our own being is explained in some of the previous energy talks where I talk about the evolution of consciousness, which means that overall, our healing process, upping our vibes, basically leads to a lesser density of our own being. The goal of which is basically no longer having to, live at the confines of 3D, but not in the sense how you think, escaping 3D. This is not what it's all about. What it's all about is mastering it, mastering the physical through our consciousness, like a magician, if you will, mastering the 3D manifestation via the power of your consciousness. That's the goal. And the planet Earth is going through a similar process, just on a different consciousness level. Yeah? So there is a connection here. Yeah? And I've mentioned this before. If you want to know how to help the planet, ask her. Connect with her. Feel into the earth. Even if you live in a city and you just have a little patch of grass in front of you, ask Gaia. If you want to heal a relationship with a significant other, ask. Ask what it is that you can do. What you can do to help, or what you can change, or what you can do to heal the relationship. If you want to heal your relationship with money, and wealth and abundance, then ask yourself. Feel into the wealth, feel into the abundance, and ask yourself, what can I do to change my attitude, to change what I hold in mind? And what needs to be healed here in regard to wealth or abundance? Do I still believe that resources, that love, that luck or fortune is scarce? Do I still believe that? If that's what you're holding in mind, you're driving it away. Look at the planet. Everything is available in abundance. It's just a matter of distribution. Yeah. So that is what needs to be mastered. How do you put yourself into a place? Yeah? How can you create the right conditions? How can you heal not just your attitude, but also your holistic being to become more receptive for wealth, to increase the capacity. And you could replace the word wealth with health or love. It's all the same, guys, the same mechanics. So the etherization, which is the overcoming of density, of materialism, density equals materialism, is the path that we are on. And it looks like in the etheric, as an energy reader, that we are, almost over the hump. The peak of materialism, this sort of outcropping of density, that we are experiencing right now. This will get a little lighter now. This doesn't mean that you can lean back and say, oh, now everything's good. I don't need to do anything anymore. On the contrary, I told you in the beginning, the reason why we can look forward to a more positive future is because the confrontation with untruth, the confrontation with unlove, and the confrontation with unfreedom, the confrontation with all this toxicity and darkness right now is what will give us the courage, the hope, the love, and the faith to overcome this. And why am I so certain? I can tell you why. Because we can. That's why. We just got to do it now. Yeah? Live our life as conscious selves. And in that moment, when you start choosing a more conscious life, you're automatically healing bit by bit. So this is what etherization means, with a lot of info here and there that I sort of wove into this, because it's important for you to understand, depending on where you're at in your process, that the only way how you can better your situation, if you feel the impulse that you want to change something, that you want to better something. If you don't, that's fine. Yeah, then just ignore what I talked about. Don't even come back. But if you feel the impulse you want to better something, then all you really got to do is the willingness to understand yourself better. Yeah, to feel into all your experiences, your attitudes, your thoughts, all of them. To make the unconscious conscious. And as you are doing this, a whole new world is going to open up for you. Because you're going to start understanding others better. And you're going to start understanding the world and the planet better. Perhaps even the cosmos. So 2024 is all about relationships, community, love, and all it takes to get there. To higher levels of connection with others. We're going to need those deeper connections. And here at transCODES, as you guys know, we have workshops and we have courses. So the next course coming up is Love Integrity. My favorite course. How to build a foundation for deeper relationships. Starts on January 6th, I think. Look it up on my website. Repeaters are welcome, because if you have worked on this the past year, you are going to have a higher conscious level now than you did before, which means revisiting all this will make a huge difference in your manifestation efforts. And also, I want to mention that since I train energy healers, once a year I start a beginner course, and the new semester starts January 19th, I think, with the Energy Healing Practitioner course, Level 1. It includes my energy course, the Energy Awareness course, where you can learn how to perceive energies. So check this out on my website, guys. Email me if you have any questions. And take advantage of these free study group energy talks, the energy talks on Wednesdays, and our daily meditations here on Skype Live. Thank you for coming, guys, and see you very soon.